John, the new English teacher. He taught poetry. On the first day, he told everyone to tear up their textbooks. No one at this school had ever felt so free. Everyone froze. John didn't want to be called teacher. He said to call him captain. He hated following rules. He didn't like formulaic teaching. He said he only taught one thing, independent thinking. He believed reading and writing poetry came from passion. From human desire. The imagination in poetry could help people find meaning in life. And even discover their own beliefs. The students only half understood. But seeing John's passion, they began to yearn for real poetry and real life. On the second day, John climbed onto the desk. He said he wanted everyone to see things from a different perspective. Everyone in class took turns standing on the desk. It was a height they had never reached before. And a freedom they never dared to imagine. John wanted them to understand that they could step out of the teacher-student roles and see the world anew. They didn't have to obey, nor only see the immediate. At school, this sounded abstract. But John was like a light in the dark. Wilton Academy prized tradition, honor, discipline, and excellence. Its acceptance rate was nearly military level, so students called it Hell Academy. Parents thought sending their kids here meant stepping into the Ivy League. They expected futures as doctors, finance elites, or scientists. But John broke the mold. He had been a Wilton student himself and knew exactly what was missing here. Todd, the new kid, was quiet. He didn't expect his roommates to be so wild in private. Todd's older brother was a top alumnus. And a national scholar. Todd came with a clear goal. The pressure was intense. Neil's father suddenly barged into the dorm. He proudly reminded Neil not to forget his goals. Neil forced a smile and agreed. The roommates were used to these conversations. Everyone understood. Getting into the school didn't mean life was fully yours. Just that some people pretended not to care. All teachers had fixed routines. Homework and tests were endless. Punishments were almost cruel. Every student felt suffocated. Until the captain appeared. The captain's teaching style made Neil and the others suddenly feel that life had choices. The captain told them to seize the moment. Everyone would eventually turn to dust. What they missed was truly gone. The captain had them stand in front of the wall of honor to see the experiences of upperclassmen. Out of curiosity, they found the captain's high school yearbook in the library. It said he liked football and beautiful legs, and that he had been in the Dead Poets Society. They didn't know what that was, so they asked him. The captain demanded absolute secrecy. The school didn't like the society anymore. He said the Dead Poets Society was just everyone taking turns reading poetry in a cave, or reading their own work. They weren't a club, just romantics. Not just reading poetry, but letting it flow from their mouths like honey. After hearing him, poetry came alive before their eyes. On the way back to class, Neil suggested restarting the Dead Poets Society. Days were boring. But at night, after lights out, Neil led everyone to the cave in secret. In the name of reviving the society, they built their own beliefs. Here, everyone was free. In the darkness, they let go of constraints, showed their true colors. They gradually understood what the captain meant. Poetry flowing from your mouth nourished each person's free soul. The night ended with a cheerful rhyming poem. The next day during break, Neil ran back to the dorm excitedly, threw the audition poster to Todd, and said he found what he loved. The poster was for a play audition. Neil wanted the lead role. Seizing the moment, as the captain said, Todd poured cold water, knowing his father would never allow it. Todd was even more constrained than Neil. But he obediently accepted the plan. Neil wanted to change that. He thought Todd was like stagnant water, and wanted to stir some ripples. A few days later, Neil got the lead role. He needed parental approval. To get on stage, Neil risked sending a telegram in his father's name. Todd saw it but didn't say anything, though he envied him inwardly. The next day in class, the captain had everyone read their own poems on stage. No matter the length or quality, the captain encouraged them. When it was Todd's turn, he said he hadn't done the assignment. It wasn't that he didn't want to write. He just didn't believe in himself. He thought his poetry wasn't worthy of being read aloud. The captain saw the problem. He wrote a famous quote on the board, then told Todd to go on stage, encouraging him to shout it out loud. Todd shouted louder and louder. The captain had him spontaneously critique the works on the wall. Without thinking, just going with his first impression. The more he played, the more immersed he became. Soon forgetting he was in front of classmates, Neil began to adapt to performing on stage. He didn't expect that returning to the dorm, he would see his father. Apparently, a relative of a girl in the cast knew Neil's father, and knew he was doing non-academic activities. His father immediately demanded he quit the performance. Neil insisted he had the lead role. His father didn't care, he just wanted him to stop. Neil felt suffocated. Trapped. He had no choice but to confide in the captain. He told him, "I do well in school, I look fine, and I've loved acting since I was little. My father insists I study medicine. I can endure that. But at least I want to perform once. To burn my youth." The captain said, "You're not enslaved. Prove it to your father." With faith and passion, Neil contacted his father. His father didn't change his mind, but allowed him to finish the performance. Just couldn't attend. On performance day, Neil was on stage on time. The Dead Poets Society members and the captain were in the audience. Everyone could see Neil's love for the stage and his talent. Neil fully immersed himself. Near the end, his father suddenly appeared. Neil instinctively tried to avoid him, struggling not to be affected. He finished the performance perfectly. The audience applauded wildly. Neil gained recognition. Fellow actors praised him. But his father never showed pride, suppressing his anger. After the show, Neil didn't get to enjoy the moment, being taken away directly by his father. Outside the window, Neil felt helpless and desperate. His father showed that performing came with a price. Neil couldn't bear it. His father decided that the next day he would leave Wilton, send him to Brighton Military School, and go to Harvard to become a doctor. Neil objected. His father said 10 years is a lifetime. Neil thought that was exaggerated. His father said opportunities are rare. Neil was forced to comply. Neil acted like the captain said, pretending to be the perfect student in front of his parents. This was controlled acting. His parents didn't care about acting, only control. Neil saw the end of life, and felt that continuing to study was pointless. One bullet ended Neil's life. Neil was gone. His death shocked the audience watching. The 10 society members learned the news. Todd was the most devastated. He was the most conservative. Neil's death shattered his faith. He had subconsciously hoped Neil would do what he couldn't. With Neil gone, Todd lost his belief too. The captain sat in Neil's seat, reading the Dead Poets Society book, silently reading the first page, shedding painful tears. The principal held a meeting. To protect the school's reputation, he decided to investigate the Dead Poets Society thoroughly. The remaining members discussed a strategy. Cameron went first to the principal's office, reported everything, and even urged cooperation. The others followed the same attitude. Todd was the last to enter. He found his parents there too. It was a joint accusation. The principal and parents said, "Sign the paper admitting the captain instigated it, and it wouldn't count against you, allowing you to stay." Todd had no choice. The school handled it. The captain's class was temporarily covered by the principal. When the captain came to collect his things, Todd couldn't help but tell the truth. Everyone finally understood. Calling him captain wasn't about steering a ship. Instead, it points the way forward. This is the students paying tribute to their faith. The captain feels a deep sense of satisfaction. Wilton has produced many outstanding students, but only one brave captain. Now everyone can set sail.